Persona is a terrible franchise with terrible games that are played by terrible people. This is usually what plays out in this brain of mine whenever I hear someone talk about a Persona game in a slightly positive way. They're all terrible. I completely hate all of them. And with this unwavering hatred, as I saw the release of Persona 5 Phantom X, I was expecting just another piece of gay RPG slop meant to satiate the piggies until Persona 6 releases. But to be honest, after playing this game for a few hours, I realized that this really isn't the case at all, as Persona 5 Phantom X is the first good Persona game, as the rest are all trash. And I just want to quickly talk about how this game massively improves upon previous games in a Persona franchise, starting with...
Wait, you don't know? Wait, you for real?
Two of my main gripes with Persona franchise can be seen in the dungeons and dialogue sections. For the dungeons, I don't want to fully elaborate as time is valuable and such, but just know that the optimal way to play dungeons is simply completely terrible in every way. Like, first you have to stock up on SP, second you gotta spend 5 straight hours clearing the whole dungeon in one day, and lastly you have to spend the next few days doing a bunch of menial slice of life tasks for another 5 hours before returning to the dungeon to do a 1 hour long boss fight. It's just so boring, and I don't want to elaborate any more than that. Just know it's terrible. And on the other hand, there's the dialogue, which was unfortunately doomed for failure as localization forced American translations upon a once beautiful piece of Japanese art. This is extremely bad, as the English language is much simpler when compared to the beautiful phonemes and morphemes of the Japanese language. As a result, conversations in Persona franchise are usually drawn out in a major way, as translators hopelessly struggle to jarringly elongate English sentences to match the intricacy of anime language. It's like if the complexities of the English language got transformed into ant pheromones, allowing a measly ant to understand what we're saying. A simple sentence or two in English would probably be extremely long-winded in ant pheromone, causing simple English sentences to be seemingly drawn out, convoluted, and pointless, as ant pheromones aren't developed enough to encapture all English has to offer. Like, imagine how sad an ant would be playing Persona 5. There would just be too much pheromones, it'd bore the man to death. If that doesn't make sense now, I go into further detail later, but moving on. Since Persona franchise is filled with a consecutive assortment of various dungeons and conversational sections, it makes for a completely terrible video game. It's like getting continuously slapped in the face over and over again. What awaits you after one slap is yet another slap, and it continues for multiple hours until you eventually beat the game. It's terrible. However, in Persona 5 Phantom X, the dungeons and conversational sections are reduced in length greatly due to the skip button, which is alone enough to make Persona 5 Phantom X the best Persona game in Persona franchise. And I know what you're thinking. Persona franchise, it does have a skip button, so if you don't like the dialogue, then just skip it like how you would in Persona 5 the Phantom X. And while this is true technically, it's also a completely disingenuous argument, and you're out of your mind if you genuinely believe this. For me personally, as a profound believer in bang for your buck, the skip button in Persona franchise might as well not exist, as the bang for my buck value gets diminished every time I use a skip button. It could be explained using third grade division. We take the dollar cost of a video game and divide it by the total amount of playtime we get. This value is meant to represent the amount of bang we get per buck. Okay, I'm editing it right now. I'm so tired. I'm on Adderall right now. I literally do not think that's right. I don't think it's right. So I need to do an experiment. So this is hours played. Let's say we played for 4 hours, and let's say we spent 3 divided by 4. That isn't wait, okay, we should do a normal number. We could do 8. 1, 2, 3. So we spend $8 for 4 hours of fun. We do the division, 4 divided by 8. What is that? That's 1/2. So imagine we split it in I think it's right. For example, my Persona 5 copy was $3 expensive, and I played said copy for a total of 125 hours. This means that overall, I had 41.6 hours of fun-filled ecstasy for every $1 spent on my video game. An incredible bang for my buck. Now, on the topic of skipping in Persona franchise, let's say I skipped all of the dialogue and did auto battle on journey mode for every single fight in the game. If I did this, all of the convoluted segments, which is around 95% of the game, would be removed, which would cut down the overall playtime to around 15 hours in total, meaning that for every 5 hours of fun-filled ecstasy, I have to spend $1, decreasing my bang per buck value by a massive magnitude. This is why you unfortunately cannot skip in Persona franchise. However, in spite of that, Persona 5 Phantom X is a completely free live service slop game, so I'm allowed to skip everything as the bang for my buck value is already theoretically infinite. So I don't need to waste time pretending to care about all the shitty dialogue and dungeons, as I could just skip it all. It's incredible. Alongside the freedom of being able to skip everything, Persona 5 Phantom Sex also has the most powerful skip button I've ever seen in any anime mobile gacha game cash grab ever. For one, in auto battle, we have the 3x times speed boost, allowing for a quick and concise battles that are completely automated. For dialogue scenes, we have the fast forward auto option for if you want to pretend that you're paying attention to the story, complemented by the humble skip button, allowing you to skip the specific dialogue portion you are on currently. How incredible. But best of all, among all of these incredible options to cut down on the terrible portions of this video game, we can also witness the greatest thing in the entirety of a Persona franchise, the skip all button. This button allows you to skip everything from tainted Japanese translations to black screen white text alike. The skip all button skips it all. Completely and utterly masterclass on the level of Mozart and FaZe Clan live streamers. This next point I want to highlight is quite simple. Basically, Persona franchise is anime, which is voiced in the beautiful Japanese language. And like I briefly talked about earlier, because Persona franchise is voiced in Japanese language, the character conversations are extremely long-winded, as the phonemes and morphemes and such are intellectually complicated and elongated in a beautiful and concise way, especially compared to conversations in the loser American language. As a consequence, however, when anime gets dubbed into the inferior American language, the original phonemes and morphemes and such that held a higher meaning originally get skewed and scattered beyond comprehension. This leads to empty, pointlessly long, constantly repeating, seemingly endless, incomprehensibly stupid dialogue scenes. Scenes that once had life in the anime sub getting twisted and construed into a meaningless nothing burger yap fest. Persona franchise is a perfect example of this, as character conversations feel bloated, pointless, useless, dumb, stupid, mindless, foolish, dull, witless, dual-witted, slow, simple-minded, retarded, regarded, barded, carded, guarded, larded, sharded, yarded, and frustratingly bombarded. And I know I could easily just switch off the American dub to fully experience my anime, but the way I play Persona franchise makes it physically impossible. Like while dialogue scenes play out in Persona franchise, I usually take around 10 seconds to sense how pointless the up-and-coming conversations are going to be. If I sense the scene is going to be pointless, I pull out my phone and start scrolling Instagram Reels while using 1/4 of my brain capacity to absorb and comprehend the scene. This works out as the scene is usually dumbed down for the American language to the point where plot points are extremely two-dimensional. As a result, it's just more efficient to split my focus and multitask watching Instagram Reels while listening instead of wasting brain cells paying full attention. It's completely incredible and enjoyable, and I will never change my ways, though it made it impossible to listen to anime dub. However, this problem was massively solved in Persona 5 Phantom X, as there is no American dub, so I am forced to pay attention and dedicate all of my brain power into digesting all of the scenes. And while this does seem problematic, it kind of works out in the end because I usually just end up skipping the entire story. It's honestly the best of both worlds. Like, I get to feel better about myself for playing the original anime dub, while not having to fully exert myself by comprehending any of the dialogue scenes. Persona is a JRPG, which is like some sort of genre where losers self-insert themselves into fictional video games, as their day-to-day lives are not very exhilarating. And to be honest, Persona franchise is quite solid as a JRPG because it's kind of hard to describe. It's similar to that one image where 1,800 baseball players got combined to make the most average looking baseball player possible. It's like that, but with whatever stereotype a Persona game is trying to portray with its main character. For example, Joker Persona 5 is the soft gooner, loner but not lonely Asian archetype. He's soft but also a gooner, and he's also Asian. And also for Joker Persona 3, he's the emo iPod earbuds in archetype. It's like that for all the games, so on and so forth. This is great because Persona franchise main characters are easy to roleplay as, since they're less actual characters with personalities and more of a soulless husk meant to fully embody stereotypes that the player is extremely familiar with. Like Joker isn't necessarily a Ren Amamiya, he's more of an amalgamation of every loner but not lonely agent ever, and I just have to pilot his flesh like a skinwalker. Anyway, while all the Persona franchise MCs aren't bad, I'll still have to say that the main character in Persona 5 Phantom X is still the best, as he represents the greatest archetype of all time, the suave, unisex, bisexual. Think Ro from Bocchi the Rock, Hina from Hina Matsuri, Rin from Yuricam, Kenjaku from JJK. They're hard yet tender, bright like noon but wild like fire, soft yet unyielding, cool like night but fierce like a rising tide. A perfect combination of the beauty of femininity and the power of masculinity. Also, the ambiguity of suave unisex bisexuals is invigorating. It's similar to how Zenless Zone Zero characters are highly regarded despite having ambiguously regarded ages. A very notable example can be seen in the character of Ellen Jo. In Ellen Jo's case, her level of interest can be found in the coin toss that comes with beating off to her. Like, she could be 18, she could be 15, who is really to make such a concrete claim? When beating your penis to Ellen Jo, all there really is to say is that there's a 50% chance you'll be considered a pedophile, but that's okay, as that's why I'm beating off my penis to her in the first place. The main character of Persona 5 Phantom Sex is exactly the same, except instead of me being a nonce when beating my cock, there's a 50% chance I'll be beaten in a riot of bigot acquaintances as beating up on my dick in jacket fast cadences to suave unisex individuals with faces that depict the adjacent male gender is gay in a major way. Like, do you get what I'm talking about? The thrill of what lies beneath is just it's so exhilarating. And if you're a bigot, I'll give another example so you could get what I'm talking about. Take Hakari from JJK. Hakari's domain, or the mental landscape that embodies his mind and soul, takes shape in the form of le pachinko gambling. In other words, Hakari's mind and soul was fundamentally born to partake in the art of gambling. Or in other words, the ambiguity of chance, of will it be or will it not be. It's engraved in his flesh and blood, for goodness sake. Now with that in mind, if we take a look at Hakari's other half, you'll notice that it's a femboy. Not a suave unisex bisexual, but like, come on, there's still a connection here. Like, I don't necessarily love suave unisex bisexuals, I just like the implications of it. Suave unisex bisexuals have a level of ambiguity or chance because what's under the covers and such. And the chance that comes with suave unisex bisexuals is connected to gambling, which is synonymous with life-ruining dopamine hits. In other words, exhilaration. Anyway, looping back around, the exhilaration I get from the sheer idea of suave unisex bisexuals simply makes the Persona 5 Phantom X main character the best in Persona franchise. And while this might not be true, I'm pretty sure Phantom Sex MC is gonna be the most popular MC for Western Persona gamers, as they're all either gay, retarded, or massively in the closet. And also, one last thing, the theming with this character, it's perfect. Persona 5 Phantom X, it's a poorly covered up gambling cash grab site. And the MC, on the other hand, is a beautifully designed human pachinko machine. Anyway, this is just a short little summary as to why Persona 5 Phantom X is the greatest game in Persona franchise. The skipping is nice, the forcing me to play sub is nicer, and the suave unisex MC is not bad.